Orlando International Airport is an international airport 6 miles southeast of Orlando, Florida. It is the second busiest airport in the state of Florida, the 13th busiest airport in the United States and the 29th busiest airport in the world by passenger traffic. The airport is a focus city for Southwest Airlines and JetBlue Airways. Southwest is the airport's largest carrier by passengers carried. The airport also is a major international gateway for the Mid-Florida region, with flights by foreign air carriers. The airport code MCO stands for the airport's former name, McCoy Air Force Base, a strategic air command installation. It was closed 39 years ago in 1975. In terms of commercial airline service, the Greater Orlando area is also served by Orlando-Sanford International Airport, and more indirectly by Daytona Beach International Airport, Melbourne International Airport, and Tampa International Airport. History, military years. Military operations began in 1942 as Orlando Army Airfield No. 2, an auxiliary airfield to Orlando Army Air Base, which is now known as Orlando Executive Airport. Army Airfield No. 2 was renamed Pinexel Army Airfield in January 1943. At the end of World War II, Pinexel was briefly used for unpowered glide tests of the Bell X-1 from B-29 aircraft before the program moved to Muroc Army Airfield in California. Now Edwards AFB for the world's first supersonic flight. Briefly placed in caretaker status, the base was reactivated during the Korean War as a strategic air command facility for B-47 Stratojets and KC-97 Strator freighters and was renamed Pinexel AFB. In the 1950s the base began hosting SAC's annual bombing and navigation competition. A B-47 Stratojet crashed during the 1958 competition, killing Colonel Michael Norman Wright McCoy, commander of the 321st Bombardment Wing. The following year the base was renamed for McCoy. The base later was home to the 306th Bombardment Wing operating the B-52 Stratofortress and the KC-135 Stratotanker. It was also used by EC-121 Warning Star early warning aircraft. During the Cuban Missile Crisis in October 1962, McCoy AFB became a forward operating base for more than 120 F-100 Super Sabre and F-105 Thundercheer fighter bombers and the primary base for U-2 reconnaissance aircraft flying over Cuba. One of these U-2s was shot down by Soviet-operated SA-2 Guideline surface-to-air missiles near Baines, Cuba. Its pilot, Major Rudolph Anderson, Jr., USAF, was the crisis-only combat death. Following the crisis, McCoy AFB hosted a permanent U-2 operating detachment of the 100th Strategic Reconnaissance Wing until 1973. McCoy AFB was identified for closure in early 1973 as part of a post-Vietnam reduction in force. The following year, McCoy's 306th Bombardment Wing was inactivated, its B-52D Stratofortress and KC-135A Stratotanker aircraft reassigned to other SAC units, and most of the McCoy facility turned over to the City of Orlando by the General Services Administration in late 1974 and early 1975. Civil-military years. In the early 1960s, when jet airline flights came to Orlando, the installation became a joint civil-military facility. Early jetliners such as the Boeing 707, Boeing 720, Douglas DC-8 and Convair 880 required longer and sturdier runways than the ones at Herndon Airport. Nearby lakes and commercial and residential development made expansion impractical, so an agreement was reached between the City of Orlando and the U.S. Air Force in 1962 to use McCoy AFB under a joint arrangement. The military offered a large AGM-28 Hound Dog missile maintenance hangar and its associated flight line ramp area in the northeast corner of the field for conversion into a civil air terminal. The city would then cover the cost of building a replacement missile maintenance hangar on the main base's western flight line. The new civil facility would be known as the Orlando Jetport at McCoy and would operate alongside McCoy AFB. This agreement became a model for other joint civil-military airports in operation today. Airline flights to the Orlando Jetport began shortly after an agreement was signed by the city and USAF in October 1961. Over the next few years airline flights shifted from the old Herndon Airport. In 1971 scheduled airlines were Delta Airlines, Eastern Airlines, National Airlines and Southern Airways. When MCO AFB closed in 1974/1975, part of the facility stayed under military control to support Naval Training Center Orlando and several Reserve and National Guard units. Civil-only years. In 1975, the final Air Force contingent departed McCoy and the Greater Orlando Aviation Authority was established as a state-chartered governmental agency and an enterprise fund of the City of Orlando. GOAA's mission was to operate, manage and oversee construction of expansions and improvements to both the Orlando International Airport and the Orlando Executive Airport. The airport gained its current name and international airport status a year later in 1976, but retained its old IATA airport code MCO and ICAO airport code KMCO. The airport became a U.S. Customs Service Foreign Trade Zone in 1978, said zone being designated as FTZ number 42. In 1979, the facility was also designated as a large hub airport by the FAA based on flight operations and passenger traffic. In 1978, construction of the current landside terminal and airsides 1 and 3 began, opening in 1981. The original international concourse was housed in airside 1 and opened in 1984. Funding to commence developing the east side of the airport was bonded in 1986, with runway 17/35 completed in 1989. Airside 4 opened in 1990 and also contains an international concourse for the processing of international flights. Airside 2, which filled out what will become known as the North Terminal Complex, was completed in 2000, with the last additional gates added in 2006. Runway 17L/35 was opened in 2003, providing the airport with a total of 4 runways. In 1978, MCO handled 5 million passengers. By 2000 that number had risen to 30 million. Today MCO covers 54 square kilometers and is the third largest airport in the United States by area of land area, and Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport, which covers 84 square kilometers. MCO has North America's second tallest control tower, replacing 2 earlier Air Force and FAA control towers. MCO was a designated Space Shuttle emergency landing site. The west side runways, runway 18L/36A and runway 18R/36L, were designed for B-52 Stratofortress bombers and due to their proximity to NASA's John F. Kennedy Space Center, were an obvious choice for an emergency landing should an emergency return-to-launch site attempt to land at KSC fall short. The runway is also an emergency divert site for NASA's Boeing 747 shuttle transport aircraft when relocating orbiters from either West Coast modification work or divert recoveries at Edwards AFB, California or the White Sands Missile Range, New Mexico. Eastern Airlines used Orlando as a hub during the 1970s and early 1980s, and became the official airline of Walt Disney World. Following Eastern's demise, Delta Airlines assumed this role, although it later pulled much of its large aircraft operations from Orlando, and focused its service there on regional jet flights, specifically with Atlantic Southeast Airlines, Comair and Ship-Torquil Airlines all part of the Delta Connection system. All Delta Connection service ended September 30, 2008. However, after the merger with Northwest, Delta Connection service to Grand Rapids started. Delta Connection service to Raleigh-Durham also started and service to Miami began on March 27, 2011, but service to Miami has since ended. In recent years, Delta Airlines has increased its service at Orlando to many places around the U.S., but also seasonal service to Cancun, Mexico. In 2004, Hurricane Charlie caused minor damage to the airport when it struck on the evening of August 13, mostly in the form of shattered terminal windows. Normal service resumed as soon as the weather cleared. On February 22, 2005, MCO became the first airport in Florida to accept E-Pass and SunPass toll transponders as a form of payment for parking. The system allows drivers to enter and exit a parking garage without pulling a ticket or stopping to pay the parking fee. The two toll roads that serve the airport, ESA 528 and ESA 417, use these systems for automatic toll collection. In October 2006, MCO opened a 100-space cell phone parking lot for drivers to use while waiting for passengers to arrive. The lot is set up as a free Wi-Fi hotspot, enabling drivers to use their mobile devices to access the Internet, check email, and monitor flight status. Around the same time, MCO opened an express pickup service at each terminal, allowing drivers to park their vehicles temporarily at a secure location just outside of baggage claim and meet their arriving party in person. A fee is charged for this service and is only available to E-Pass and SunPass users. In late 2007, Lufthansa introduced flights to Frankfurt. The new Orlando-Frankfurt route was celebrated by airport and airline officials as a major breakthrough in international travel for Orlando International. On March 19, 2008, JetBlue announced Orlando as a new focus city. Orlando serves as a key connecting city to international destinations in the Caribbean, Mexico, and South America. The original terminal building, a converted hangar, was described as inadequate for the task at hand even when it was first opened as Orlando Jetport. After its closure in 1981, it passed through several tenants, the last of which was UPS. It was demolished in May 2006. On February 1, 2010, Allegiant began operations at the airport. The company moved one half of its Orlando-Sanford International Airport schedule to Orlando to test revenue at the higher-cost airport. After evaluating the routes out of Orlando, the carrier decided to consolidate and return its Orlando area operations to SFB, citing an inability to achieve a fair premium at MCO as anticipated, passenger preference for Orlando-Sanford International Airport, higher cost at MCO than expected, and a more efficient operating environment at SFB. However, they continue to operate one flight a week from MCO on Fridays using the MD-83 aircraft. Terminals and concourses. The Orlando International Airport has a hub-and-spoke layout with a large main terminal building and 4 airside concourses accessible via elevated tram systems or people movers. The main terminal building is divided into 2 terminals, A and B. There are passenger check-in and baggage claim facilities on both the building's north side, and on the building's south side. Both terminals share 2 security checkpoints, one in the West Hall leading to airsides 1 and 3, and another in the East Atrium, leading to airsides 2 and 4. Airsides 1 and 3, and later airside 4, were designed by KBJ Architects, while airside 3 was designed by Helmuth, Abata and Casa Baum, Hillman Hurley Shavat Peacock Architects, and Rhodes plus Brito Architects. CT Shoe plus Associates and Rhodes plus Brito Architects designed renovations that were made to airsides 1 and 3, which were completed by April 2010. Airside 4 currently serves as the airport's primary international arrivals concourse, however airside 1 also handles some international arrivals. Arriving international passengers who require immigration and/or customs clearance are processed through those checkpoints in the airside terminal where they arrive. After clearing U.S. immigration, passengers collect their baggage and clear U.S. customs. After clearing customs, international passengers must ride the People Mover to the main terminal. Airside 4 provides escalator access directly from the customs hall to the People Mover platform. This has eliminated the requirement for arriving international passengers to go through a security inspection between the customs area and the People Mover, and as a result they now have the option of bringing their checked baggage with them on the People Mover. Alternatively, passengers also have the option of placing their baggage on a transfer belt in the customs hall for transport to the main terminal's baggage claim. Only those passengers who are connecting to a flight in Airside 4 and airport employees will need to go through security upon exiting customs. The airport features a unique on-site Hyatt Regency hotel within the main terminal structure. The hotel is located on the East Atrium side of the terminal with a 4th-floor lobby level and guest rooms beginning on level 5 and above. The airport features an expansive lobby area for guests awaiting flights, convention space, several bars, and 2 restaurants including a signature restaurant on the top level of the terminal building overlooking the airport facility and runways below. Terminal A. Major domestic carriers based in Terminal A include Southwest Airlines, JetBlue Airways, Virgin America, and American Airlines. Major international carriers include Virgin Atlantic, Aeromexico, Avianca, Copa Airlines, TAM Airlines, and Aer Lingus. Airside 1, Gates 1 €17 and 20 €28, secondary international arrivals concourse, part of original terminal, opened in 1981, JetBlue Airways hub concourse, Airside 2, Gates 101 €129, Southwest Airlines hub concourse, Terminal B. Major domestic carriers based in Terminal B include Delta Airlines, US Airways, and United Airlines. Major international carriers include British Airways, Air Canada and Lufthansa which primarily operate out of Airside 4, the airport's main international arrivals concourse. Airside 3, Gates 30 €48 and 50 €59, United Airlines United Club, part of original terminal, opened in 1981, Airside 4, Gates 60 €99, primary international arrivals concourse, Delta Airlines Sky Club, notable services. Delta Airlines was the first airline with jet flights to MCO, with their DC-8 Fanjet Royal Service flights. Eastern Airlines The Wings of Man, became the first official airline of the Walt Disney World Resort, and sponsored an attraction in their Tomorrowland called, If You Had Wings. Later when Eastern closed Delta took the attraction over, it was called Dream Flight. In the early 1970s Delta, National, and Eastern Airlines began wide-body flights to MCO, National with the DC-10-10 and A-30 and Delta and Eastern Airlines with the L-1011. Virgin Atlantic's Boeing 747 is currently the largest airliner at the airport. The airline has multiple daily flights from the UK. During peak seasons, up to 5 Virgin 747s may be at Orlando's gates at once. British Airways competes with Virgin to London Gatwick with 10 Boeing 777s a week. Lufthansa opened a shared gate in Orlando on October 30, 2007, providing the first direct flight between Orlando and a hub in continental Europe as part of an effort to diversify the local economy beyond tourism. As of late October 2009, Lufthansa expanded its 5 flights a week to daily between MCO and Frankfurt on Airbus A330s and Airbus A340s, with connections throughout Europe, expanding to a Boeing 747 in the winter. The Airbus A380, the world's largest airliner, landed at MCO on November 14, 2007 from Montreal. Orlando was one of the first airports in the world to be Airbus A380 ready. On June 7, 2011 Air France began service from Orlando to Paris Charles de Gaulle using the Boeing 777-300ER. This flight ended on September 2, 2012. On July 2, 2011 Edelweiss Air flying on behalf of Swiss International Airlines began weekly service from Orlando to Zurich Airport. The service operated on Saturdays only until mid-September. British charter airline Thomas Cook Airlines is to move its Orlando flights from Sanford Airport where they and predecessors Air Tours Intel My Travel, and JMC Air have operated since it opened. Flights will commence April 2014. OIA vs MCO, since the renaming of the former McCoy Air Force Base and the adjacent Orlando Jetport at McCoy as Orlando International Airport in 1976, there has been a propensity in local Central Florida news media outlets and other entities in Central Florida outside of the professional aviation community to refer to the airport as OIA, versus the airport's actual airport code of MCO in either reporting or reference. However, such use is incorrect, as the airport code OIA is actually assigned to Orlândia Airport in Orlândia, Brazil. Airlines and destinations. All international flights arrive at Airside 1, 3 or 4. Notes: 1 Virgin Atlantic's check-in and baggage claim is at Terminal A but uses Airside 4, which are part of Terminal B. Statistics: domestic. International. Orlando International Airport was the 14th largest international gateway in the United States and second largest in Florida for the year ending June 2013. The airport handled 3,694,774 arrivals on international flights during that period, of which 82.9% were carried by a foreign airline and 17.1% by a domestic airline. Airline lounges: Delta Airlines Sky Club located in Airside 4 on the second floor of the center atrium, United Airlines United Club located near Gate 43 in Airside 3, terminal expansions and renovations. Airsides 1 and 3, the terminals opened in the early 1980s, are currently undergoing major renovations, designed by CT Shoe Plus Associates. The new terminal design will incorporate a new modern architecture and feature new skylights and expanded concession areas. In addition, the terminal will be reinstalled with new mechanical and electrical systems. The project was completed in both terminals by 2010. Also, British Airways has announced that they will be opening a shared lounge in Airside 4 sometime around the beginning of 2012. Rental car quick turnaround facility: 2 state-of-the-art car rental facilities were recently completed on both the Northside Terminal A and Southside Terminal B. Select car rental agencies currently operate on-site car rental pickup in the ground level of the main parking garages. The new facilities has relocated the car rental pickup process to the new facilities and has allowed additional space for off-site agencies to relocate to the on-site airport facilities. New Terminal: A fifth terminal has been in the planning. However, plans to build the South Terminal Complex, which initially would be dedicated to international traffic, and possibly more runways on the south side of the property, were placed on hold during the recession immediately following the September 11, 2001 attacks. However, the plans are still being considered by airport officials as soon as passenger traffic surpasses current terminal capacities. Airport officials have made it clear they will continue to expand and restructure the existing terminals to postpone the necessity of having to build the expensive new terminal facility in the immediate future. The large land area immediately south of the existing main terminal has been designated as the proposed new terminal area. The majority of the land is already cleared. High-speed railway station: as part of the Florida High-Speed Rail project, the Orlando International Airport was planned to be the Orlando terminus of the initial Orlando-Tampa route along the Interstate 4 corridor. On February 16, 2011, Florida Governor Rick Scott formally announced that he would be rejecting federal funds to construct a high-speed railway project in the state, thereby killing the Florida High-Speed Rail project. The airport had already invested considerably to accommodate the station, such as the extra length of the taxiway bridge over the Southern Access Road. Light rail/commuter rail service: a planned light rail and commuter rail stop at Orlando International Airport is currently being studied and, if approved, could be completed in 2015. As part of the estimated $250 million price tag for the airport expansion, the airport authority would build a new parking garage south of the current parking garages for Terminals A and B, with the station being located where the cell phone waiting lot currently sits. The airport would also build a monorail or elevated tram system connecting all 4 airsides, allowing passengers to transit through them without the need to pass through security again. Additional space is being allocated at the future train station for the proposed all-aboard Florida Regional Rail Service, which will connect Orlando International Airport to downtown Miami along the Florida East Coast Railway. A future connection to the Sun Rail commuter rail service is also being explored, although it is presently unknown whether this would involve a direct rail link or a shuttle bus service to and from the nearby Sand Lake Road Sun Rail station. Incidents and accidents: on January 12, 2005, a Cessna 172 misunderstood ATC instructions and turned from base onto final approach for runway 36 in front of a Southwest Airlines 737 inbound from New York, which was about 3 miles out. After failing to contact the 172 pilot, the controller instructed the Boeing 737 to make a missed approach and come back around to land on 18L. A possible accident was avoided. On April 2, 1994, Continental Airlines Flight 1447, a Boeing 727 Euro 243, N59412, flying from Newark International Airport to Orlando was unable to extend its left main landing gear. After burning down to minimum fuel, the aircraft executed a partial gear-up landing on runway 18 and none of the 9-person crew or 141 passengers were injured in the mishap. The subsequent National Transportation Safety Board investigation revealed fatigue cracking in the left main landing gear door rib attachment fitting, the failure of which prevented the left main landing gear from fully extending. On March 31, 1972, a 306th Bombardment Wing B-52D Stratofortress, Air Force serial number 56-0625, sustained multiple engine failures and an engine fire shortly after takeoff from McCoy AFB on a routine training mission. The aircraft was not carrying any weapons. The aircraft immediately attempted to return to the base, but crashed just short of runway 18 or in a residential area north of the airfield, destroying or damaging 8 homes. The flight crew of 7 airmen and 1 civilian in the ground were killed. Transportation. The Orlando International Airport is a major transportation hub for the Central Florida region and provides various ground transportation options including public transit, private transportation, and car rental. Links. The local metro area public transportation system operates a substation at the airport with public bus service to downtown Orlando and other area routes. Disney's Magical Express, a complimentary motor coach transportation service to all 24 Walt Disney World Resort hotels. The motor coach service is operated by Mears Transportation and is available to Disney guests with advance reservations. An agreement with Bags Incorporated also provides checked luggage pickup and delivery system for Disney guests utilizing the Disney's Magical Express service. Checked luggage are picked up by a representative of Bags Incorporated and delivered directly to the guest's Walt Disney World Resort Hotel. Cruise line transportation. The airport serves as a major inbound gateway for cruise line passengers departing out of Port Canaveral on lines including Royal Caribbean International, Carnival Cruise Lines, Disney Cruise Line, Sun Cruise Casinos, and Sterling Casinos, all operating motor coach transportation to Port Canaveral, primarily with partnerships with Mears Transportation. Taxis shuttles. Taxi cab service is available via a taxi stand line on the ground transportation level of both terminals. Airport licensed cab companies include Star Taxi, United Taxi, and Yellow Cab. Airport shuttle transportation services include Super Shuttle, Mears Transportation, and other private transportation companies. Helipad and other. A de facto helipad, referred to by GOAA as a helistop in view of its limited facilities, is located on the top level of the terminal top parking garage and is available landing space with proper clearance for private transportation via helicopter. It is often used for transportation of high-profile celebrities and business executives to and from the airport. The community of the villages in Sumter, Lake, and Marion has shuttles operating between the community and Orlando International Airport. These services include Village Airport Van, the Village's Transportation, and A1 Taxi among others. See also, McCoy Air Force Base, Strategic Air Command, B-52 Memorial Park, Florida World War II Army Airfields, Innovation Way, World's Busiest Airports by Passenger Traffic, References. External links. Official website, FAA Airport Diagramma, PDF, effective October 16, 2014, resources for this airport, AirNav Airport information for KMCO, ASN accident history for MCO, FlightAware Airport information and live flight tracker, NOAA-NWS latest weather observations, Sky Vector aeronautical chart for KMCO, FAA current MCO delay information.